Check if you guys can see my screen at all.
I can indeed, yep.
Thank you.
Yep, I'm seeing everything.
Anthony, good stuff.
Hi, Mike.
So we got Anthony, Craig.
Yep, here.
Someone has just joined us. And team from Clark Pacific.
Yes.
Okay. Someone has just joined us.
Yeah, remove some.
Hi, is that Ian? Hello, is that Ian Fleck?
I'm not sure if he has audio switched on.
No worries. And I believe, Holly, are you joining as well?
Yeah, I'm here, Mike. Hiya.
Hi, good. So I think we are ready.
Hi, Paula.
Good stuff. I'm going to hand it over to Paula to give a bit more introductions what we're going to go through today.
Yep, so thank you very much for attending today's webinar. The primary objective of today's webinar is to discuss and to showcase our two new modules, which are expenses and digital assets. We're also going to briefly just talk about what's new in 7.2, which recent release as well. And at the end as well, we're going to just talk about 7.3 and what we're going to be working on this year. If you can also perhaps leave questions to the end. If you've got a burning question, please feel free to stop us. That's absolutely fine. So I'll just hand it over to Mike now.
Okay, thanks, Paula. Yeah. So hello from us. I think this is kind of our first public webinar, which is very long overdue. And the reason why we want to do this, we want to do this a lot more in the future, to engage with you guys and just kind of have a bit more transparency in the way where we're going and what we're working on. So I guess this is just a brief slide that Intranet is dead, but long live the digital workspace. This is kind of the thing that we're moving towards into. I guess the classical, traditional understanding about what Intranet does is kind of people perceive Intranet as a bit old-fashioned now, but we're now living in kind of more dynamic and more kind of interconnected world. So this is where we're going to, and then I'm just going to briefly show you a couple of slides. So we're moving on into something what we call a digital workspace, in which expenses and digital asset management is kind of you can consider it one of the apps. We'll cover this maybe in the next webinar if you want to know where the world is going, where's the trend, about where the intranet is going, and we can cover that in the next webinar. But today, we're just going to focus on two things: digital asset management and expenses. I think I'm just going to start with expenses first, because that's a module that we've been working on. We have a client in the US who currently using it, and they kind of sponsoring this application as well. And I see that expenses is one of the things that people think would like to have in their intranet or in their digital platform. So I'm just going to get onto it. I'm going to show you a demo. Just going to check in if you guys can see my screen. So, well, for this purpose of the demo, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use our own intranet. Just going to log in now. Okay, so this is our own intranet. Typical intranet systems where you have a main news article and some kind of fast access button here. So I'm just going to go through the expenses applications now. Right. So this is kind of a very simplified view of the expense applications. We have a concept what we call expense sheet. This is a bit like you filling out Excel spreadsheet and then hand it over to account team to then process your expenses. In this case, you basically done it digitally. So I have my previous expense here, February and March. So let's say I'm going to do my April expenses. What I'm going to do is just click Submit New Expense, name. So it's just a title of the sheet basically here. And you configure which department that you belong to. All of this is configurable. So I'm belonging to production team, so I'm just going to pick that. Office location, be based in Brighton. By default, it will looking at the...
No, that's it. Your email wasn't got the 39 it's just the links to that folder. Just in case you forgot what was doing actually.
By default, we're looking in the supervisor from the org chart, but if that's incorrect, you can still correct.
What I'm doing is I'm just copying everything to this, and I'm just going to go with this because it's going to.
And then the process is really simple. Just put it in when you made the expenses. So let's say this is for April. So yesterday, for example, I did a taxi. Which department, expense type, maybe this is travel, description, amount, £40, and then carry on. I can just keep filling this in. So maybe this is international, or I made that yesterday or today, department, same thing, IT, provider O2, maybe £5, and so on. So, and then you don't have to submit it immediately. You can actually just save it and coming back later on. So the idea is you don't leave it towards the end of the month, but you can actually, as you go along, you can just go into this application, just add it as you go. And then the receipt as well, you can actually do a bit of a drag and drop upload receipt. So if you scan or take a picture of your receipt, your phone, email it to yourself, you can just drag it and then get into that. I've got a couple of receipts here in my desktop, and I can just drag it there. There you go. We've got some test receipt and taxi receipt there. The process is really simple. You just do that. You can save it at any time. But you're ready to be submitting. So let's say this is ready. I can change it to submit. Okay, so now the expense is submitted. And then my supervisor will get notifications. Then they can process the expenses and go through the typical workflow. After submitted, it goes to supervisor to actually approve it. The finance team then process the expenses. So from the front end, it's just really simple. And then the one thing that we want to make it easy for the user for next time they submit expenses, functionality here to copy. So once you've done one expenses, I mean, some people typically have a regular expenses that they've done every time. Things like, phone bill maybe, and then travel taxi that they use, or some kind of a standard thing that they frequently doing that every month. So for the subsequent expenses, they can just click copy, and it automatically create a copy of what you did. Obviously, you need to fix the date because the date is different, but you don't have to you don't have to populate again. The process for May. That's for now. Of course, they're asking for the date before I can save it anyway. So that's it pretty much from the front end. It's very easy to just submit your expenses. You probably noticed there are two things, operational costs and project costs. Most of the time, if you want to use it simply, you just use operational costs. Project costs, the idea is swap between billable to the client or not billable to the client. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to show you a bit of the back end as well in the expenses application. So on the back end, you can define who has access to the admin. At the moment, I have access to the admin, so I can change any expenses to any state, and I can delete expenses. If I took myself out, obviously, I can only do as a typical users on the systems. And then the second one, you define who is the finance team. You define what kind of expense type. So if at the end of the year you want to run a report how much the company spent on, I don't know, gift, food and drinks, or IT equipment, you can do it this way. You can control the department, the one that you see on the front end. The drop down of department is actually configurable from here. And the simple things like setting up a client and project as well. You can do it from the back end as well as locations. And there are some setting up the car. Okay. Anyway, it's very brief about the expenses, and I would open for any question if you want to know, or do you have any questions about aspect of expenses?
Is this
Do you want to
module
open questions for this now, Mike?
Sorry, is that, I don't know if I can do raise hand here. Okay, whoever, is that Anthony or Ian?
I think it was Clark Pacific asking the question if the module is available now.
The module is available now. It is, you need to have a Claromentis 7.2 version to be able to have this module.
Oh, we got updated. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is it a chargeable module? A module's chargeable, just to confirm.
Yes, this module is chargeable.
Okay.
And also, if you need any pricing information, I can send them across after the webinar.
They updated us to whatever the most. We have to have the most current version.
Okay. There was just to go back very quickly, Mike. The difference between operational and project costs. Can you just explain a little bit more about the difference between the two? Project cost has the ability to mark it as chargeable to the client. Does it integrate with any other applications, or will it do in the future, or what's the point of that of the difference between the two?
Okay, very good question. So the way we, I guess every company operates differently. If you are kind of more consulting company, then you do have, sometimes you need to, certain expenses is chargeable to your client. And this is, has been part of the requirements when we develop this application. So let me just go to the back end and I'll show you a little bit. The first thing you need to set up a client. So this is where you can set up client. So let's say you have a client called Alpha Corp or something. When you set up a client, then you can set up a project. So maybe with Alpha Corp, you have a project called Internet marketing or something. Here you can set up who is the project manager on that, and the project manager will be able to run reports for that particular project only. So in this case, I'll put Ola here as a project manager and myself as a substitute. So now we have a internet marketing project and the project manager is Paula. We could also have another project. Maybe this is just a web design. Project manager is myself. So in this example, we have two projects belong to Alpha Corp. So when I'm going back to the expenses again, the one that we working on, April. On the project cost, I can just put in the date. For example, yesterday I spent on Google AdWords, for example, and the client is Alpha Corp, related with internet marketing. Is it billable to the client? You can, yes, it's billable to the client. You can click that link there. And type, again, this is, you can define a type. So IT services, this is just Google Ads, for example. And maybe we spend £50 on the Google Ads. So yeah, you can build a report, something like that, in which when you go to, so let me just save this one out. Okay. when you go to the report screen, this is where okay, so this one is submitted. Let me just make it that it's already been processed. So after submitted, it's been approved. Okay, my expense has been approved now. Quick example. So if I go back to the item report, I can then filter by the project. So I can fill out by project. Maybe this is our intranet marketing project, and you run a filter, and that's basically your expenses to the client. You can export that to CSV and give it to the client. Or if you run a report across multiple projects by a client, you can just filter it by client name, do a filter, and you got it there. It work out the total as well. You can find out which that sheet it belongs to. And then you can download CSV file and then tell the client of the expenses. So I hope that kind of answers the questions, Anne?
Absolutely, very clear. Thanks very much.
Okay, I'll open up for one more questions and then we move on to digital asset management, if any.
No, that's fine.
Good. Okay. Right. So let's move on to the second module that we have, digital asset management. Just briefly, it's probably worth mentioning that we do have a gallery application. So this is a gallery application that built in part of the intranet application.
Yeah,
it's a core application, so it's included in any Claromentis install anyway. Whether you want to use it or not, it's up to you guys. But we have a gallery application that allows some kind of a upload bunch of images, and then you can download different versions of the images like native resolution, medium, and so on. And it support like some kind of slideshow and stuff. So the reason why we did the digital asset management is it's just it's gearing up towards digital assets. So it's not just images, but images is just one of them. So the idea here is to be able to track, and also a concept of one asset actually consists of multiple objects. So just give you a quick example here. So I'm going to logo and branding, in which I can see different type of objects. So we got an icon, we got even font. You can store a font, or the corporate font, for example, and then you got a logo. So let me just go to this particular logo. So it is one asset, Claromentis logo, but you can see here, you got different kind of a file name. I'm just going to mute everyone for now, just in case. I'll unmute it again later on. Okay. Right. So we have one asset, which is the logo, and you could actually store multiple files. So this is an example of Claromentis logo, and you have this file in PNG, that file size, and it's got different variation of the PNG and different file size. And you can even store the Photoshop file or Illustrator file sometimes against that asset. It is preferable for like marketing agencies, so if they need to have access to the raw file or the one that's still got layered and factor, they can actually get to the native file. But most users potentially just going to get the rendered file, the PNG or JPEG file. So that's the kind of the whole concept. And also, you see that how many people has viewed and how many has downloaded as well. It gives you an idea of which assets is kind of more being used the most. Asset can belong in multiple categories. So we have different category here. So for example, we storing like brochure and case study here. This is an example, just one asset belong to that brochure. But you can see you've got the PDF versions, you have a JPEG versions as well in one asset. Okay. The other interesting functionality is shopping cart. So you can actually browse around things like, okay, I want LMS icon, for example. I want the small version of PNG, add it to cart, and you can carry on browse different icon. Maybe I need a logo, intranet icon maybe, and then just pick that versions, add it to cart. So it's a bit like a shopping. You've got a shopping cart, and I need the fonts as well. Maybe let's just stick it in. Okay, put it to cart. So you can see that your item has been added to the cart. And the idea here, you can just download everything as a zip file, and you've got your asset there as a zip file, and obviously it's calculated against the download. The other nice features is there's a downloaded. So if you remember last week or something, you downloaded one or two assets, but you can't remember, you just need to download it again because you probably changed another computer or something, and then you just need to get hold of the asset. You can go to the downloaded link, and it keeps the full history of the download. So here you can see that in December 2013, I was downloading that and that. So if you want to have an access to quickly, oh yeah, I remember, I need to get that wallpaper again. Just click that and then you download. There you go, that's your wallpaper. Or if you need to get to the details, you can go into that particular asset and you can download the asset you need. So it is really just built around having a corporate digital assets that can be shared at the same time. I think people can actually just categorize it and then download as they need it. Probably worth mentioning that you can also do something like, for example, you need to put assets. Assets can also live in multiple categories. So let me just show you quickly to the back end of the asset. Right. So here you can build the category. So typical category would be like logo and branding, posters, brochures, videos. You can store videos, screenshot, presentations, stock photos. You can store it there. What is interesting is we have a concept of security group. So each asset you can put it into one of the security group. In most cases, you may have a asset that only available internal only. So things like logo or some kind of a presentation file that you want to make it internal only. But you could also have different kind of type of security group. This is just to make the permission easy to separate it. So in our case, we have asset that we categorize as marketing team only, internal, and partners. So this way, you can build a security around it. So for example, internet and partners, if you dive in a bit more, you can see it show you the standard Claromentis permission dialog, which is it will share against all registered, and I can even add extranet. Maybe HR consultant can actually access that one as well, and I can build. Claromentis can only edit. Claromentis UK can edit. So this way you can share your asset easily with your partners or your client without worry about the security. You may have some stuff that you're working on that's only internal marketing, for example, and you don't have to worry that that could be shared across your clients and partner. Just going back to the assets again, here you can see that, let's just go to logo and branding again. You can actually see the security group here. So this asset is available for internal and partners, for example. And just like what you expect, it does, if you allow the system to, it does the resizing as well automatically. So you can probably see here it's got different versions with different resolutions. So when you upload a large asset, let me just show you a quick example. Let me just go to add asset. I'm going to put, this is Brighton Seaside, maybe. Just Seaside picture. It's going to be an image. I'm going to put it in a category. Maybe infographic. You can put a tag, maybe just picture. This is you set the security group, how make it available to internet partners. And you can upload file. You can drag and drop file as well to that small window. So if I browse my files here, it's good pictures. Some pictures of Brighton. Let's just get the Brighton here. You can drag it there. And there's an option here. Do you want to auto-generate smaller versions of image file? If you tick that box, the system will auto-generate it. You can choose cover image. There's an option to send notification to the like the internal team or marketing team if you choose to. So we have the Brighton seaside picture, and you can, as you can see, we got a small and medium versions automatically created just by uploading one picture. If I wanted to, I can also edit this, and if I do have like a raw camera file, I can upload it separately if I wanted to as well. Okay, so I think that's it pretty much in terms of digital asset management. I'm just going to open up the speaker now if anyone has any questions.
I have a question if everyone else is slow off the mark. How does this differ from the Lightbox? So in terms of the image gallery and the Lightbox feature, if that still exists, where you can select multiple photos and add them into your cart and then download them all. How does this differ from that? Or is it pretty much the same, just with a few extra features?
Great. So I think the nature of DAM is kind of slightly different to image gallery. With image gallery is one object or one image is one basically, while assets is kind of built around where you can store different type of files against one asset. I think that's the fundamental difference. The functionality of Lightbox and shopping cart is pretty much the same. Although with the digital asset management, you have a functionality that you can see your download history, for example. That's what make it kind of more gearing up towards maintaining digital assets. With digital asset, you can store not just images, you can store video. So this is an example that we have a video file stored here as well. We've got an example video. And also, it has a bit of a reporting capabilities in which you can find out something like, I want to know asset belong to logo and branding. And then here you can see who has downloaded. Okay, I want to know who downloaded the asset, which belong to logo and branding, for example. And you can see that I'm downloading that, Nigel downloading PSD of the Claromentis logo. Don't know what's going to do with that. And then some font. So there you go. And then you can export the CSV, of course.
Okay, thanks for that, Mike. Just my last question about this. Can you give us an example of the reason that you created this application? For what specific purpose, if there was one? Was it a client request? Was it a client in a specific industry? And how they use it? Like in a bigger scheme. Can you give a working example of this application? Okay.
Yeah, I guess in a bigger scheme, is the reason that we developed this application is typically, imagine you are a company who work with several partners. So, for example, a digital agency that working with several partners. And then you may have an agency working for you. So, for example, here in Claromentis, we have a marketing team. But we do outsource the video productions. We do get digital agencies that help us with some kind of artwork for the poster, for the imagery that we use on the website, for example. So the idea here is to give them access. What we did, we created an extranet area for them, so then they can log into our system, but only with limited view. Obviously, they can only access certain applications. And then they can, if we commission video, so for example, this is the one that we commission them to do, they log into our system and they basically go to digital asset management and upload video version 1, version 2, and then different versions. Sometimes we ask, can you give us video that, different file format, for example. Sometimes we ask about brochure. If we outsource the creation of the brochure, this third party can then put, the PDF version, the JPEG version, the InDesign or PageMaker type of version to the same thing as well. I guess the purpose is to have a bit more control with your third-party supplier, in which you might work with a digital agency who help you with the marketing stuff, and also how do you distribute your asset to your partner. We have a company who use this to distribute their product shots, for example. So they categorize, instead of by types like us here, they categorize it by product 1, product 2, product 3, and then they can basically share that specific category to different partners that they engage.
Okay, interesting. Thanks for the explanation. Makes sense.
No worries. Okay.
Any other questions regarding digital asset management?
Nope, not for me.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, good. So I guess we don't want to take too much of your time. We're just going to quickly touch base on where we're going next. So I promise to go through some stuff that what you expect in the 7.3 versions. There are some new features coming up for the people application. So we do rework on our people apps. Documents online editor, some of them probably already heard about it. It will be officially made in 7.3. Badges, it's quite interesting. There are many corporations now would like to incorporate badges. So if someone doing, becoming ambassador of the company or done some certain things, they want to be able to badge their profile. So that is interesting concept that some company already adopting it when we're going to make it in 7.3. And then by that time, we should be able to deploy the version 2 of the iOS and Android application. I know that the version 1 is coming up, which is pretty much the Innovate or the social applications. But what this made it interesting is we also do a push notification. So imagine that you have a notification being sent out. You can actually receive that notification about calendar, about meeting, about sending internal messaging on mobile. So that is coming up in 7.2. There are more stuff that's coming up next, but we're not going to cover it now. Just to iterate a bit more, we kind of moving into what we call a digital workspace. I think we are all very excited about where the intranet platform is going, and then we would like to, just kind of engage with you in kind of more defining what is the digital workspace for the future. I think that's it for now that we have. Thanks obviously for joining in. We still have time if you do have any questions at all that you wanna ask, or is there anything that you would like to address with us while we're still on the call?
I don't want to hog the line here. I have a couple of questions. Any idea of the thing that most interests me in 7.3 is the online document editing. Any idea when that might be arriving?
Online editing is actually, you can kind of patch it in 7.2 versions. I guess we can work closely with you if you need some kind of urgent things with that functionality. It will be officially released in 7.3, which is probably we're still talking about a few months away.
3 to 4 months, yeah, Mike.
But we can take it offline if you would like to demo that functionality within your system, working with your clients or something. And yeah, just get in touch with Paula and we can accommodate that.
Go ahead with that, yeah.
Okay. I would definitely be interested to receive the SaaS pricing for adding the digital management and the expenses modules. If you could send that to me, please, Paula, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I can go ahead and do that.
Okay, so yeah, if after this call, if you guys would like to know more, or if you're just curious about, kind of pricing, how to edit those modules into your systems,
yeah, or any feature questions as well, please do send them across to me, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Okay, great. Thanks very much, Mike, for your time. Great presentation. Loved it.
Okay, so if just one more time, if there are any burning questions, we've still got a few minutes.
No questions from me, but all looks very interesting. Thank you.
Perfect. Lovely.
Okay.
Thank you so
Great.
much.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you all for your time.
Thank you for your time. We're trying to keep it short and brief, but yeah, appreciate for joining today.
Absolutely.
And
we should have some more webinars coming up as well.
Excellent. Look forward to it.
Great.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers now. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye-bye
guys.
now.
Bye.